Welcome to the Jenison Christian Podcast. I am Eric DeVries, known as Mr. DeVries. This is our first attempt at a podcast, and we are going to create something here. We're thinking just a place that the community can hopefully feel connected, know what's going on inside our school. As our principal, Tim Powell, likes to say, what's the heartbeat of Jenison Christian? And so maybe just a way for people to realize what's the heartbeat of Jenison Christian with teachers, students, what's going on in the community. So just a little bit about myself. This is my third year teaching at Jenison Christian. I mostly do 5th and 6th science, so the lower sciences, and then I do a social studies as well. And I am sitting alongside my colleague, Peyton Ponstein.
Yeah, so Peyton Ponstein, or as known as Mr. Ponstein. I too have just loved being here at Jenison Christian, and I'm a 7th and 8th grade teacher here in the middle school. This is my 6th year here at Jenison Christian, and I also have a wonderful wife and a 1-year-old boy at home, and we just love being a part of this community.
And that's really where it comes from. We love this community, think it's doing awesome things, and just want to highlight the awesome things that are happening here and what's kind of going. So Mr. Ponstein is going to kick us off with some Eagle news, as he likes to call it, of what's going on around Jenison Christian.
Yes, Eagle news. First, folks, we're going to focus on the sports realm of our community. And volleyball and soccer are currently in session. Volleyball earlier on in the year beat Adams, but lost a close one to Hope 2-1. But that one set that they did win against Hope was a close match, 25-22. Soccer, on the other hand, is having a great year too. They also beat Adams 5-0 and had a tight match with Hope, 1-1. But don't forget about other sports, folks. Football is coming up. Yes, the Big Ten, almost. JCS, Unity Christian Football, is here. And our first middle school game is going to start next week, Wednesday, September 30. And one last sports update here, our golf tournament. The golf tournament is also going to be happening next Saturday morning, October 3. And signups have been coming in like crazy this week, Mr. DeVries.
Oh,
and it's going to be a lot of fun to see our students participate in that.
If I could just, the volleyball team, I don't know if you noticed it, Mr. Ponstein.
Yes.
This volleyball team has got a braid thing going. And they are just team camaraderie. You know, I don't know if they had an early loss and now they're coming back from it, but I would not want to go against those braids. And I think that every one of our teams, soccer, maybe they need a headband thing. Football needs some sort of, something. Camaraderie. I would not want to go up against us right now.
I would agree with that, Mr. DeVries. I see it at break time. I see it at lunchtime. I unfortunately see it in my algebra time. I can't get enough of these braids. But if we go on to more Eagle news, the JCS auction is this week, folks. So if you get time to sign up, it's pretty easy. You go to our Jenison Christian website, you find the auction link, you create an account, and you start bidding. Just don't bid against me, please. And lastly, this week is Spiritual Emphasis Week. And so there's a variety of activities going on. We're going to explain further detail later in this podcast, but just wanted to give you some overall news here of what's going on at Jenison Christian. Our next segment, Joke of the Day. We got to bring some humor into this, Mr. DeVries.
My favorite already. I can tell my favorite segment.
This is going to be good. And I got the joke of this week, and I thought this would just be so relevant for us because we're both science teachers.
Oh, okay.
So here we go.
I'm ready.
What do you call an alligator detective?
An alligator detective. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's got to do something with a crocodile. I could be off with it. I don't know. I give up.
Nice try, Mr. DeVries. An investigator.
Oh.
I talk to my kids all the time in class. Investigations. We need to be testing hypotheses. We need to be investigating our research. Absolutely. I love it. Investigator.
Well, you just started off on a high note that it's going to be tough to top this in podcasts to come. So you started off A game out of the gate.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to do.
Now, on to So Week, as Mr. Ponstein highlighted in our JCS news. Spiritual Emphasis Week. I know when I started here, everyone was calling it So Week, and I had no idea what was going on, so maybe you don't. Spiritual Emphasis Week, acronym spells SO. Kind of a big deal around here. I know Mr. Powell always says it's his favorite week of the year, and he feels okay saying that it's his favorite week of the year. And it is a great week of the year. And as I've been telling my students, we hope that it's not just something to emphasize this week, but it can be really a launching board into how do we emphasize our faith in everything we do around the school. And some highlights just for me is just been the general idea that Spiritual Emphasis Week is usually done a certain way, where we got chapel on this day, a community day on this day, a finishing chapel on this day, and those structures are great, but it's been so great to see God work through new ways that we don't have to do it this same way. That's not the perfect way necessarily, but that God is still glorified and praised. And for our theme, Shining Our Light, that students are still able to shine their light, even if it looks a little different than it has in the past. And one way we've been working on shining our light is today we just wrote letters to the community. So working on shining our light outside of the community. And the students had all kinds of different ways they could shine their light, either here in school or outside. And I just want to highlight one of my students, what they wrote. And they could write to the school board, just thanking them for all the work they've done. And this is what one student in my class said. They said, "Dear school board, thank you for all the work you do for our school. Thanks for all the time all the hard work you've done during this time. Thank you for making it possible for us to go to school during this time." Some school boards sometimes a thankless job, and it is just great to see our students recognize the hard work that they did and just how appreciative our students are to be back in school. I know I'm appreciative of it as well.
That's awesome, Mr. DeVries. I would say a highlight for me was Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, we had a prayer walk, and we had 6 different stations around the school building and praying for a variety of things, leaders and our school community, for protection from the evil one, our sports teams, etc. And I love our students' commitment to prayer. I feel like they do such a good job at sharing their prayer requests, listening to one another, and really being intentional on what they're praying for. And they've seen that prayer works. And so it's been really fun to watch them just pray and just dive in that way. I really appreciate too just how I feel like there's some 8th graders that just really lead well in this area as well. They're willing to participate. They're willing to share in a variety of ways of how they see God working in their life. And so that was a huge blessing for me, and I'm very thankful to be a part of something like that.
I know on our prayer walk too, Mr. Ponstein, with our 6th graders, it was cool as we had different stations and different things to pray for, like local churches, our nation, the
police
school,
force.
Police force, and just to see different students share their prayer requests at different spots, because you could see kind of where their heart was. I just know one of my students was, as soon as we got to churches, it was praying for the churches and opening back up and wisdom for it, that you could just tell that student they thought about that a lot, and to just have some time to pray for it was a really cool opportunity of Spiritual Emphasis Week.
Absolutely. I too had a letter that this morning that a student wrote that I thought was really impactful. It's the student wrote this letter to a ministry that we usually serve. We usually go out and serve them on a day like today, being Thursday, and Harbor House. And this is what she wrote. "Dear Harbor House, I hope you're having a great day and know God is watching over you. Joshua 1:9 says, 'Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.' Thank you for what everyone does there to take care of the residents, and I hope everyone has strength to work." And I know I've been a part of Harbor House a little bit. I volunteered there. It's not an easy job. Those people there, I'm sure, need just this kind of encouragement. So really appreciate what this student wrote on praying for strength, not only for the workers, but for the people that live there. And they really need that, I think, at this time. So really cool to hear that from from an 8th grader.
What a great way to highlight the 8th graders and all our students too, shining our light that, wow, it's not just about them, right? But what a great letter to someone, or even about our community, right? But to a place outside that we see doing kingdom work, and for us to maybe be some part of encouraging them in that. What a blessing that is, for sure.
Better to give than to receive.
Thank you for listening to the JCS Podcast. If you can help tell the story of JCS, we would love to hear from you. Mr. Ponstein and I need all the help we can get in sharing the heartbeat of JCS. The music you heard was Mind by Kai Gun Soul, a Christian artist from Gallup, New Mexico. You should check him out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.